So since I started making these videos, I've had people ask me about my laptop, like, hey, what kind of laptop is that? Or, hey, what kind of laptop is that?
Amazing display works.
This is a Dell XPS 13. XPS. I bought it for $980 back in March of 2015, so almost a year ago. The big reason I bought it was for its portability. This thing weighs about 2.5 pounds. It's pretty light. But its claim to fame is its display. This is a 13.3 inch, hopefully this is showing on the camera. This is a 13.3 inch display, but if you look at the bezels are super thin. Super thin. Dell says its 13.3 inch display is housed in what would typically be an 11 inch laptop. I have a 2-year-old Folio HP 13 that I use for work. They both have a 13.3 inch display, but they're completely different in size. Let me show you. So this is my work PC and this is my XPS 13. They both have 13.3 inch displays, but look at the size physically. You have on the HP Folio, the bezels are already thicker than the bezels on the XPS 13, but there's also this black bar that surrounds it, and that black bar is even up here. That goes right below the bezel. And on the... Actually, let me make this brighter. On the XPS 13, you don't have any of that black bar surrounding the bezel at all. Let me turn up this brightness too. I don't know if that helps show a difference. I know on my work laptop this thing has been pretty beat, so I don't even know if the screen is as bright as it should be. But you can tell physically the size is a huge difference. And even on the actual keyboard, the XPS is shorter, but it's also shorter on top. It's just a smaller physical footprint altogether. Okay, let me quickly break down the rest of the specs. This is a 5th generation Intel i5 processor on this laptop. It has 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gig SSD. It initially shipped with Windows 8 and then upgraded to Windows 10. It has 2 USB ports, one on each side, an SD slot. The keyboard is actually backlit. And it has this rubbery carbon fiber weave. I don't know if that's gonna show on camera, but it has this rubbery carbon fiber weave that feels pretty good. All in all, it's a nicely solidly built laptop. I haven't had any issues with it since I've owned it. And because this thing's almost a year old now, a new version came out sometime at the end of last year, and I've been seriously thinking of upgrading. It's essentially the same, except it includes the 6th gen Intel processor. And the price stayed about the same. It starts at $799, and $799 will get you an i3 processor with 4 gigs of RAM. Right now on Amazon, which I'm actually looking at, they have the newer version of this, which again, physically is identical, but the internal specs are different. They have the 6th gen Intel processor, an i7 with 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs SSD. The touchscreen, or the display is a touchscreen, and it's a Quad HD Plus. And that's going for $1337, which is a pretty decent price when you compare it to the competition. If you're looking for something that's just portable with good battery life and decent performance, you can't really go wrong with the $799 version either. I mean, as long as you're not doing heavy gaming or like video processing or editing, the $799 version with the i3 processor would probably do you well. But I think at $800 there might be other options as well. For that price, you really are paying for its portability. And I think at $800 you might find a laptop that has better specs, but it'll be a bigger physical size. This is the laptop that's made every single video I posted on YouTube. It's definitely a workhorse, a light workhorse. You're still here?